What's going on, YouTube? I welcome you to It's Wild Out Here, the channel bringing you the wildest stories from around the world. And today ain't no different. So hit that like and subscribe button because it's wild out here. And I'm going to tell you all about it. Today's story comes from California. 2 police officers fired and indicted for beating a black teen. A grand jury has indicted 2 Central California police officers on felony assault charges in the alleged beating of a black teenager so severe that he was left with massive bruising on his face. Tori Salazar said former Stockton Police Department officers Michael Stiles and Omar Villapudua were each indicted on felony counts of assault by a public officer and assault with force likely to cause great bodily injury. The men were fired in March after a police investigation found both had used excessive force on Devin Carter, 17 at the time, outside the department's training and policy. This grand jury indictment reminds us all that when police use unlawful force, they undermine community trust, she said in a statement. As the daughter of a police officer, I know how important that responsibility is to restore community trust, safety, and honor to the profession. The charges come amid growing outrage in the U.S. over the use of excessive police force, especially against African Americans. In April, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of murder in the 2020 death of George Floyd, a black man, and sentenced to 22.5 years. The Stockton Police Officers Association defended the officers, saying in a statement that their actions were justified because Carter actively resisted arrest and presented an imminent threat of death or seriously bodily injury. The indictments remain under seal with the defendant scheduled to appear in court November 5th. Salazar said Friday that 2 of the 4 officers involved were indicted. Carter was driving to his father's house when he was stopped by Stockton police the night of December 30th. Police say he was speeding in excess of 100 miles per hour and led them on a 3-minute chase before he was forced to stop. Photos released by Carter's attorney, civil rights lawyer John Barris of Oakland, showed the teen with deep purple bruising around his eyes and what appears to be a shoe or boot print on the left side of his face. Body cam footage shows officers pulling Carter from the car. They can be heard yelling at the teen and telling him to stop resisting. Carter is heard screaming in pain and fear and telling officers that he's not resisting. Burris said officers punched, kneed, and kicked Carter in the face, neck, and back as he laid in the fetal position. The department advises officers to avoid striking an arrestee around the head and neck area when possible. All the time he's crying. It's pretty awful what they did to him, and it was an old-fashioned beat-up the cops did, said Burris, who won a $3.8 million judgment against the Los Angeles Police Department after officers there beat motorist Rodney King in 1991. We're delighted that prosecution is occurring, and we hope it sends a clear message to others in this department that there are consequences, he said. The SPOA said Carter caused a crash between a police vehicle and another car, and when officers tried to detain him, he resisted and repeatedly tried to reach into his waistband. In order to stop the fight and prevent death or serious bodily injury to Mr. Carter of the officers were required to use bodily force to overcome Mr. Carter's resistance and effect his arrest, the police union said. Carter was speeding in part because he didn't want to pull over in the dark, Burris said. The teen was terrified that he could die, like Floyd, Burris said. The teen was taken to a hospital for evaluation before being booked into juvenile hall for evading and resisting arrest. No mother should see or hear her son beaten by the police and helplessly crying from the pain, the teen's mother, Jessica Carter, said. This is a wild story, y'all. Let us know what y'all think in the comments. Like always, stay safe and stay aware. And remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And we'll see you next time on It's Wild Out Here.